Time for-
What's going on, everybody? It's me, Mark, and welcome to another episode of Blerdkast Live. Tonight, we did have something special planned, but the show must go on. Hopefully, we'll hear from our featured guest tonight before the end of the show. But until then, like I said, the show must go on. Tonight, I am joined by showrunner, show producer, and the show engineer, Dana Morgan and James Hurden. How are y'all doing this fine, very special Monday?
I'm doing good.
Yes.
I'm trying to relax. I'm not going to be bitter about yesterday. It was what it was.
Okay. And how about you, Dana? How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Had a fun weekend. We celebrated Mark's birthday this weekend too, and then I had other stuff that I did. Always multitasking, and,
Yes,
and counting down to Dragon Con.
yes, we did have fun yesterday. James, so sorry you missed it, but also, if I had known that's the game you was going to, I might have tried to find a way to join you because that would have been a fun thing to do. But we did have a lot of fun yesterday, eating Korean barbecue, eating Asian desserts. Definitely got to go back and get whatever that thing was we had, that monstrous thing. Okay, bingsu. Never had that before. Love it. We'll always go back and get it. Definitely got to get the mango next time. But it was so amazing. But thank you for coming and helping me celebrate my birthday. For those of you watching, today is actually my birthday. I had to celebrate it yesterday because adulthood. But today is my birthday. If you want to send a gift, a super thanks, or anything, you can do so in the live chat, as well as getting your questions prepared for hopefully our future guest if he shows. But until then, we're going to stall for time, and we're going to talk about some of the nerdy things we've all recently done, because we all recently done something nerdy for the first time, and we're going to talk about it. Southern Fighting Expo. That was a very fun, interesting weekend. I got a lot of good interviews in. I've definitely been trying to reach out and do more gaming content, as far as like interviewing game designers, game developers, and creators of video game voice actors and such. So I definitely had a lot of fun doing that. But tell me, what was y'all experience like? Because I was only able to go to one day.
As we talk about offsite, that James is blaming me for his purchases. But he started it, so we get there, get our badge, and he's like, let's look at this Funko vendor. And I was like,
no, okay. That's not how it went. We were walking, trying to figure out where the panel rooms were for a panel we were trying to get to. We were like hour or so early. He was like, oh, look, Funko Pops. I said, no, don't want to stop because I'm broke and they're probably not going to have anything I want. And then
but you're the one who went in that direction, and I was like, all right, let's go.
You somehow took that as a challenge to find stuff that I didn't need to buy.
Well, he's the one who was like, oh, they probably don't have this character. I was like, there it is right there.
Needless to say, 10 Funko Pops later.
10?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I think I found, what was it, 5 of them? I was like, there it is right there.
10.
All right. James, I have to ask you. I've asked other geeks this myself.
Yep.
I just have to ask, what is the appeal of Funko Pops? Don't get me wrong. I understand being a collector. I collect nerd stuff all the time. I've had Funko Pops. I've sold. I had a White Ranger Funko Pop I sold for like $300 that I got for like one birthday one year. Needed to pay rent, so that definitely helped. But I don't get the appeal of Funko Pops, so I don't collect them personally. Why do you and so many other people are mesmerized by Funko Pops?
So initially, when I started collecting Funko Pops, it's been almost 10 years ago now, if not a little bit more. I I first stumbled across them because they were miniatures from sci-fi, mostly from sci-fi and cult classic IP, where there's TV shows and movies from like 30 plus years ago. And it's just holding on to a bit of a nostalgia of having this character on my shelf from this thing that I like to watch, because some things just didn't have figures, if you will, or if they did have figures, they really weren't that interesting. So the first few Funko Pops I saw were from like, I did see the original 4 they did for the Star Trek original series, and they only did 4 for Next Generation. And as I was looking through, I started getting angry because it's like, okay, you're doing all these big shows with these ensemble, I won't say ensemble, but large primary cast, but you only have 4 characters, and we all know who the 4 characters look like. I'm not going to get into that, but I'm like, there are popular Black characters in a lot of these shows. So my whole collection, at least the ones that I purchased for myself, are all women of color from whatever IP that I'm a fan of. So I have Funko Pops from Marvel, DC, whether it's comics, TV, or movies, video games, anime, American cartoons, old TV shows, sci-fi TV shows, action, horror, adventure type things of that nature. I have one of Erykah Badu. I have one of Mariah Carey. I have characters from Hamilton the musical. I have some from Harry Potter. I have the twins from Harry Potter. So yeah, like my collection, like I said, the ones that I collect primarily for myself are women of color. They're literally from anything, any genre you could think of, any medium that is out there. I have them. Those right now total about 120 as far as number. And I have been gifted a lot of Funko Pop. So I have at least 6 different versions of Black Panther.
Okay.
That were all given to me as gifts. I have a couple of Miles Moraleses that were gifts. I have the Jeffersons, George and Weesey. So like I said, they just span all over the place. My crown jewel, if you will, of them is one that I bought for myself the year I found out I had to start wearing bifocals. And it is a jumbo size Funko Pop of Unicron from Transformers the movie.
Okay. Now, the next question I have to ask, and I know this is a debate amongst the Funko Pop community, is your collection entirely in box, or do you have some of them open and displayed? And follow-up question, do you plan on reselling any of them, the rare ones that kind of get up there in price?
Mine are all in box. I refuse to take them out because mint in box means exactly that. It can't be mint in box if I take them out the box. I don't have a problem with people who want to display them. I have friends who have taken them out the box and displayed them. Now, the challenge with that is some of the Funko Pops, because of balancing issues, do not stand up on their own. Because remember, these are like little figures that are about 2 inches tall with 3-inch bobbleheads. And depending on what the body is designed to be or what's there, that's your base. It can't hold up that bobblehead. So some of them can't stand on their own. So to the people who want to display them, cool. That's a debate I don't get into. People always ask me why I don't, but I don't take anything out the box now. I
don't either.
I'm getting that way too. So it would make sense that I should start collecting Funko Pops. But for me, I'm a big toy kid. I was always a big toy kid. Love playing with toys and stuff. So like as an adult, I'm finding myself going back collecting the toys that I always wanted growing up: Transformers, Power Rangers, X, Y, and Z. And a lot of that stuff I'll keep in box and just like admire it. Some stuff I'll take out and be like, you know what, I got like a Monday afternoon. I have nothing to do. Let me just go back to being 7 years old. Or, I have a nephew. You met yesterday. He has a lot of my stuff now. And it pained me at first to see him opening them as like birthdays and Christmas presents, but like he's 4, he's a kid, and he's playing with the stuff, and then that just kind of, you know what? I'd rather see him play with it than it like sit on my desk and just collect dust, and maybe I'll get it autographed. Like seeing him play with the stuff makes me feel good, so I don't mind that. But like I got like stuff, and he'll come over my house like, nope, we'll never play with that. Never.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. My nephew is 7, and thankfully his interests are not aligned with mine. He is heavily into animals. So
Okay.
I know to pretty much get him a stuffed animal of something or another, and he pretty much give me the history of the animal, how it was named, where it lives, what it eats, where it's from. But he is not into what I'm into, so that's not something I will ever have to worry about. As far as your second question, as far as whether I will resell them, depending on which ones I have and if I have multiple copies. For instance, I recently, earlier this year, I purchased Angel Reese and Asia Wilson because the WNBA line launched earlier this summer.
Okay.
What I forgot was that I had entered an online site contest to get an autographed Asia Wilson. So I have 2 Asia Wilsons. One is autographed in a nice little plastic case in the closet, which no one will be able to see or touch for reasons. And the other Asia Wilson is still in the box on the shelf alongside of Angel Reese, you know, not out of the box, but just the box is out for people to touch and, you know, look at it. Whatever. I don't mind people come by and holding the box and looking at it. But the moment you ask, can I open this? What?
Okay. All right. I got a fun twist question to ask you, because how you describe that made me realize something about, especially us within like blackness. So we all have grandparents, great grandparents who used to collect like furniture and fine china and stuff. And I noticed that our generation, especially the nerdy ones, don't do that. We collect toys, Funko Pops, posters, autographs, things like
the
that.
stuff that we couldn't get growing up.
Right.
Because we have
All the
adult
stuff that
money.
we couldn't get growing up, because we had to get clothes and books, and our parents had to buy education stuff and things like that, or just didn't have the money to.
Or they just didn't like, they didn't understand some of the stuff we were into.
I think some things I flat out wasn't getting, which hurt, but you know, it is what it is.
So my question is, do you view as a modern nerd that us collecting collectibles and things like this is our version of our grandparents and our ancestors collecting furniture and things like that, China, to pass down to our families and future generations? And as we get that stuff, we're like, this is just crap.
No, because I think like the older generation, they got it for kind of like, it was
practical reasons.
It was practical, but also prestige. Like if you got a china cabinet, you're going to put the real nice pieces, and you're not going to take them out unless it's for something special. Because
good
it
china
took a while for the Black community to get that kind of prestige in the community. But collectibles, they still collected like stamps, dolls, you know, those creepy dolls, and all the way to them little, what was those things from the 90s? They were like yay big stuffed little things.
Beanie Babies. Yes.
Well, okay, to be fair, I had some Beanie Babies, but that was like
they collected them, kids. You know, our parents, our aunts, uncles collected Beanie Babies and stuff because they were told those were going to increase in value and everything. So they were looking at whatever can increase in value. But for us, we collect because we like it. We collect the stuff we want. And like, I have my Funkos. I didn't initially plan to collect Funkos. That was not part of my plan. But my friend Dana, the other Dana, he gave me my first Funko, which was a custom Nubia, because they didn't have no Nubia Funkos at that time in 2018. And because of that, guests that I work with at different conventions, they will see me with the Funko, and they're like, oh my gosh, you collect Funkos? Here's some Funkos. And also, Miss Kim, my boss at the previous job, if you are tuning in, you are the biggest corporate of this, because James know and several people know this woman over 4-year period gave me 20 huge Funko box. She pre-ordered from Funko. These boxes are like 6 feet long by 4 feet wide, and it
4
was
feet deep.
20
Yeah.
over a 4-year period. And I stacked it in the corner because I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to put these. And I've been spending since, last fall, slowly trying to figure out where to put what I got from her. My other friends have gotten it. Now, there are some that I bought myself because I was just like, I'm getting this, which was like the original Black Panther Funkos. I was like, gotta get that. When Selena's her Funkos came out, I got hers. I had to get Selena's. Oh, because we love some Selena. But it was similar to James because we saw, especially at the big, at the time I started collecting Funkos, and I was getting them. It was very rare when it was a woman of color getting a Funko. It was usually all the other characters, and then she made like I was just complaining to somebody. Bleach, for example, they have had multiple versions of Bleach. There's umpteen Ichigos. This year, after all these years, we finally got Yoruichi as a Funko, and I'm like, look how many years it's been like 8 years since I've been collecting them, and I finally got Yoruichi, and I pre-ordered to get her because she's the reason she was my first cosplay. So I was like, I had to get Yoruichi. But I'm like, look how long it took. And even though she was a vital character in the series, it took that long before they even gave her her Funko. So I'm similar to James. I want those women of color, people of color characters. But if it's a fandom that is near and dear to my heart, or a singer or something like that, Funko has, I'm getting it because it's it's one of my easier ways of collecting, because versus like figures and things like that, it's those are larger, more space to organize. And I keep mine in my box. And as I have certain ones, I like we talked off air. It's like when I know a guest is coming, I'm like, all right, pack this to come to this con because I'm getting this autograph.
Okay. Um, I guess I still just don't get the appeal of Funko Pops themselves. I get like the limited edition things and the rare things that don't even exist in other formats and things like that. I had a friend, she's a friend of the show. She used to work at Funko, and she used to tell me like they have a machine there where you can go and just make custom Funkos or even make one of yourself. And I've always wanted that. And I was like, if I do that, I would like get Funkos of like me and my friends and stuff like that. I would collect that. But as far as like the other characters and stuff, because y'all all know me, my big fandom is Power Rangers. I don't have a problem finding
there's a lot of Power Ranger Funkos.
I have no problem finding Power Ranger collectibles that's not Funkos, especially of the characters or the actors and actresses from the show. So I don't know. It's just maybe I guess it's a preference.
And that's probably also for you. You have more variety, and similar to what James said earlier, a lot of these shows have no collectibles at all.
Right.
The only thing you probably can get is if that guest comes to a con, get an autographed photo. But there's
I have a feeling, I have a weird feeling.
Or you have like if it's a show or a movie, you have to get the DVD or movie to get that autograph by that person. But other than that, it's nothing else. So Funko really was like the first to kind of break into, like James says, sci-fi, anime, fantasy, all that you can have your favorite characters in this little character. And also, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So getting back to Southern Fried Gaming Expo, because that's what we was originally talking about. What's going on? So again, who did y'all actually interview first, and what was your plan for trying to cover Southern Fried Gaming Expo as a team?
Well, our plan when we got there, because it was our first time, James Day, we were like, we're going to just get first day was a lay of the land, figure out what this was, because we've done DreamHack, which is another gaming convention, but every convention has a different look and feel. So we're like, let's see what this is about. Check out, see what panels, because we made sure we went to the Power Ranger panel that had Walter E. Jones on it, and which was a fun panel. And then we also, saw several voice actor panels, so we attended a couple of those. But then kind of as we did the panels and walked around and checked out stuff, then that was allowed us like, okay, these actually we were focused on 5 guests to do interviews. 2 of the guests we were unable to get them scheduled because we were supposed to go back the next day and they were not at their booth.
Okay. They just were. I think that was the Good Brothers, and yes. I mean not to single them out or anything, but they did the wrestling event on what was that Saturday night.
Oh, Saturday, yeah, Saturday night. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we didn't go Friday, but yeah, they did the wrestling event. That was Saturday evening at like 7. And I saw them packing up, but I thought they were just packing up to go back to their hotel room. Turns out they were packing up to bounce to wherever they were headed next, because the table
they told us to come back the next day to schedule the interview.
Because that's what we had set up with them. We had talked to Anderson. We had talked to Carl Anderson because Luke Gallows wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
And we chatted with him for about roughly 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Asked him how he was joining the convention. He said Gallows was going to be there later because they're doing the wrestling event that evening. They did it. They promoted a match that they were going to do that's coming up. That was actually this past weekend.
Yeah.
Up in was it Cobb? No, Marietta. It was in Marietta. Was a wrestling event they did on Saturday. So yeah, they promoted that, and then they were packing up to leave. And I was watching them pack up. I was like, okay, so they're. Yeah. And then Sunday morning, we come in bright and early, try to figure out where they are, and it's like, okay, they're not where they were yesterday. Well, let's just walk around maybe because we're here early. It's not even 10 o'clock. People are still flooding in and whatnot, getting set up and everything. We came back at 11. We came back at 12. We came back at 12:30, and they weren't. It was like, okay, so we got this panel at 1:30. We're going to do that, and if they're not there, we're just going to do our interviews and bounce. And we came back for the panel, and they still weren't there. It was like, okay, so yeah, they left.
Yeah.
I was hurt because I got a lot of friends who are heavily into wrestling, have followed those two across multiple promotions, including New Japan, which is where their the height of their fame is when they were in New Japan Wrestling. Same with a lot of performers here in stateside. So little hurt, not broken, just a little hurt. It's cool, but
But it worked out because with us attending the second panel on Saturday morning, it was a voice acting panel with 3 of the voice actors. I call it the OG voice actors.
Oh, yes.
And we, they, of course, we got in there early to set up, and they got in there early, and they were like, well, sometime they're going to just chit chat. And so they ended up chit chatting. They made a comment, about the, Transformers movie, and so of course James and I are coming, and of course instant bond with those 3 voice actors. So they were like, oh, we got it. So then after they were like, hey, we got a panel tomorrow, make sure you join. That's got more of the voice actors part of it, and stop by our booth. And I'm like, yeah, we would love to talk to you tomorrow about getting scheduled for interview. And so when, as James said, that we did the panel. Well, we first talked to them, and they were like, yeah, right after the panel, we could, do their interviews on that Sunday. And then after the panel, we came right over there, and then we knocked out all 3 of their panels. And they're, they were a hoot. Me and James
Yeah,
laughed so much with the three of them.
they were definitely special to talk to. Because all three, like, okay, so again, voice acting is this thing.
Melody, especially.
The thing you learn interviewing several voice actors, and after about, I would say, like the fifth or sixth one that you sit down, do an interview with, naturally everyone comes to it differently, but very few people of a certain age went into like, I want to be a voice actor, right? For the three of them, they all started out literally doing something else, and it wasn't acting in all three cases. For one of them, they were an actor first and foremost. For the other two, they were doing, like, if you go to a theme park, like a Universal Studios or something, they were part of the stage production of something that was happening. So like if you went to Disney World in like the 80s and saw like a, I don't know, Captain EO show or something like that, they were like two of the stage performers for a sequence in Captain EO, if that makes sense. So, and from there, their career path just took them, and somehow they just found themselves doing a voiceover work for something, whether it was a commercial or a quick ad. And then that led to another thing, and then they did a couple of series and oftentimes not a lot of big series. Like one of them did work on Transformers, the animated series. And one of them did voice work on, what was it? I think a Robotech spinoff. So it's like, there are things that you know of,
voice actors from Digimon.
Digimon, right? So it's things that, like, when you learn how long they've been doing it, and you learn what the first couple of things they did was, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that, and then you're like, well, that wasn't a big thing, but fans of that thing know what it is. And it's like, okay, cool. You voiced this character I knew from this thing in the 80s or early 90s that may not have been like big nerddom or big acclaim in the geek and nerd community, but it's a niche thing that people who know type thing. And all three of them have done stuff like that. So
exactly. And then James had a today years old moment while we were there too.
Look, because the Power Rangers panel we went to with Walter Jones and I'm blanking on his name right now.
Yin Win.
Yes, Yin Win. We had saw him earlier at Ranger Stop,
right?
And he had all his stuff up as being the stunt man for both Green and White Ranger. Okay, cool. You work on Power Rangers, Green and White Ranger. Now at Ranger Stop, that's all he had, right? But when he was doing the panel with Walter Jones, he mentioned that he was on WMAC Masters, and literally, like, light bulb clicked. I was like,
you know what? Okay, to be fair, I had the same I was today years old moment while I was interviewing him, and when he mentioned it, I was like, wait a minute, that sounds so familiar. I definitely grew up watching that. Oh, you! So yeah,
yes,
I'm with you there. there. You can literally see my face like change and make.
And that was Jay.
And that was me, because he was like, "Yeah, I did the show called W." He's like, "I was stuntman for Power Rangers, did the Green and White Rangers. Oh, and I also did this show called WMAC Masters. I played Tsunami." And I was like,
"Light bulb, yeah."
Because
same boat club, buddy.
Again, right age gap between us. WMAC Masters came on. Me and my boys, we were like in college, and it was something we would watch every Saturday afternoon. If no one had to work, it was like, yo, this is a group watch after Spider-Man, X-Men, maybe Power Rangers if we felt like it. But like WMAC Masters was a thing that we watched, and yeah, we all had our favorites to root for. Whatever. Tsunami was one of them. It was like, oh wow, I remember this show. So after the panel, and we caught up with him later, and I was talking about it, Danish is like looking like, and we're talking about the show, and he was like, oh snap, so yeah, you watched it. I'm like, yes, I watched it. Like, I root on the machine every single week.
I watched a few episodes back in the day, but then they got into episodes I didn't watch, and I'm just like, oh really?
Because it
I
ends
didn't
on a
see that one.
It ends on a cliffhanger. And a matter of fact, Tsunami is the one who betrays them.
Now, okay, so that was around the time where I ran into y'all when I found y'all that day. Because it
Yes.
was after they got back from the panel. Now, I do want to say something about you, James, because I've worked with you at different conventions and I've seen you do a lot of your interviews. And I gotta say, I'm a bit jealous on your interview style, and I'm gonna explain it.
Okay.
You have this ability to super deep dive nerd out with the guest that I have only rarely done because I try to keep it professional, or more importantly, I can't get out of my nervousness to kind of get there yet. But like I've seen you do it time and time again. You connect with your guests on such a deep nerdy level about their work. For them, this is their job. This isn't something they just grew up watching. They made money off of this IP or whatever, and you find a way to connect with them and make it and keep it professional. Because I've seen people do that and it not work out. But you make it
and I
work
think
out.
it's a difference because with James and like the rest of us, we try to dive into stuff that they typically don't get to talk about
Right.
because there people are gonna 95% of time talk about Power Rangers. They're gonna talk about that, and we're gonna bring it up, but we want to dive into the stuff that most people don't know about and stuff like that, but still have a little fun and connect with them and everything. And you also see the guests loosen up and they start having fun because you brought up something. Oh my gosh, no one's talked to me about this. Then they get hyped. They start feeding off of you, and then we're cutting up and having a good old time. And and then after that, every time they see us, they're like, "Hey," and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a world of difference because they get so many people that are overly fans, and they're asking them, "Okay, so in episode 124 of season
Yeah,
3,
that stuff. The fan questions. I've noticed they do not
the
like
show
that.
was 20 years ago.
Right.
I
They
don't
don't
know."
remember for the three people we interviewed, Michael, Terrence, and Melody at
Yes.
Southern Fried. Like we had already established a rapport with them because, like Dana said, we went to their panel on Saturday, and then we went to their Sunday panel before we interviewed them individually. So there was already a rapport there just from connecting with them in that. And like Dana said, the Saturday panel before it even started, we had got to talking about Transformers 40th anniversary of the movie, which is what this is from behind me and everything, and talking about how things were back then, because again, all of them had done voice work in the 80s.
Right.
So you're talking about, for me, my coming of age into geekdom and nerddom with a lot of IP and franchises, Robotech, Transor Z, a lot of anime from Japan coming over here and getting English dubs, which some of them worked on. And if not them, then people they know of who we've interviewed. I mentioned that we talked to Greg Berger, who's the voice of Grimlock from the G1 series up at Toy Atlanta early this year. And Terrence, who does the voice of Trax and Cosmos on the G1 series, he perked up a little bit. It's like, oh, you've talked to some of my colleagues. And the reason I can fanboy out and keep it somewhat professional because I'm talking to people who've done work that, one, I'm interested in, and two, have done work on things that still bring me joy even when I watch them today. Yes, I know G.I. Joe is corny as hell when you try to watch it by today's standards.
It is. I tried. I tried to get back into it.
It is corny. It's like, wait, Cobra tried to do what? Yes, this is a real thing that Cobra organization tried to do. But you learn that because Hasbro owned both properties, Transformers and G.I. Joe, a lot of the voice actors worked on both shows. Yeah. Whether you can hear that distinction in the voices or not when you're watching them, it does make sense when here we are now some 35, 40 years later after those shows have gone off the air, and you see the layout of pictures of all the characters they voiced, and you see a G.I. Joe character, and then you see a G1 Transformers character, and it's like, oh, snap, that's dope. So it's like, all right, so there's my in, because the rapport that a lot of them have from working together across both shows, and then maybe sometimes a third show that some of them will work on, you can delve into that as far as what that camaraderie and vibe is like, the community they built because they were on both shows. So that's always a good end to start a conversation with. And a lot of times, like I said, as I've told people who ask me about my interview style, this is not to me an interview; it's a conversation.
Yes.
And I am not so much steering them. I am more so just probing to get them to start talking about their experiences, the joys they have out of those experiences, how those experiences have shaped the work that they've done, whether it's voice acting or acting in general. You know, so just basically it's a literally a get to know you, not just a standard interview. Here are these questions, and I'm no, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to hey, we've known each other for X number of years. How you been? What's going on? What's new? Type thing. As we delve into the geeky side of things, with Michael, was it Michael or Terrence? I can't remember if it was Michael or Terrence. Michael did Transformers. Terrence did he did Bleach, and he did Rurouni Kenshin, English for 2 characters. And those are the only 2 characters I talked about. I know he's done other characters in between and other work in between that I was not familiar with or, not knowledgeable of. But between the 2 characters that he did for Rurouni Kenshin and Bleach, I had a starting point and I had an ending point. And in between, as he was answering the questions, I just listened to his answers and posed my follow-up questions from there. So yeah, like Dana said, sometimes I'm going in cold. But as long as I have a frame of reference of, okay, here are a couple of characters I can talk about to get them to start talking about their careers in some way, shape, or form, and then I can just listen for various cues. And can you expand upon that? Can you elaborate on that? And then these 3 have all worked with each other on various other projects. So that was also a good point as well. Like, what was it like working with 2 colleagues here that are at this convention with you? So, like I said, it's just trying to keep it a loose, fun vibe, and trying not to be overly serious. Now, with voice actors, I find that it's easier for me to not geek out. I think the only voice actor I've probably tried my hardest not to geek out with was Dante Bosco at Ranger Stop early this year. I mean,
he just got announced he's gonna be at MomoCon next year,
which is great.
Really? Hold on, time out. No, flag on play. Dana, you already know what to do. You already know what I'm going to ask you, what I'm going to be. The only thing me and you're going to be talking about between now and next MomoCon is getting him in that press room. So
you said talk about what?
Oh, getting him in the press room.
Getting him in the press room.
Yes.
So that's you already know who my person I'm going to go about.
Your request is for next year at well, hopefully we don't have any hiccups this year as far as trying to get voice talent into the press this year,
as long as there's no strikes, there's no
right, because that was, I know that was a big thing, a big deal as far as why the press room was, I won't say mostly empty, but at least empty 50% of the time for interviews this year. Like, where were you guys? You have credentials. These are interviews being done. But no.
Okay, so from my perspective, and I didn't notice like this MomoCon, I was like, oh, okay, interesting. But like, I knew there was a lot of stuff going on. I know it's a lot of hard work that goes behind the scenes of getting certain guests and things like that. But this year I was mainly focused on like the smaller people anyway. Like I finally got to meet Cosplaying While Black. They are a Black organization up in Chicago that started, and it's so funny how we know each other because we came up with the concept of Cosplaying While Black around the same time. They chose to make it a cosplay organization. I chose to make it like a TV show on my YouTube channel. And like we keep like not bumping heads, we're running into each other because of the naming convention. And it was so good to finally get to sit down and talk with them and just have fun with them and interview them.
Well, so they came out of press room too.
Yeah, they were there, but like I was saying, like the bigger people, I noticed it was a lack of like the bigger guests this year versus like past years.
And again,
but I was fine with that. I was perfectly fine with that.
Right, because I think almost everybody we had come through, I won't say, let's just put it this way, there was not a lot of fanfare as far as people swarming them at the convention.
Now, I thought Alan Z would have had way more people show up for his round robin interview.
Probably if it was the next morning after the concert. We interviewed him the day of his performance. So it was going to be later on that evening when we interviewed him. If we had got him the morning after, then yeah, we may have had more outlets there, because I mean, I heard the concert was lit.
Yes, honestly. It was.
So it was a big deal, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the other press outlets went by the concert, or at least heard music from the concert, and probably strolled in like, oh, this is kind of dope. Right. Yes. So some of them probably would have been there the next morning if that was a, because
some of the other musicians that showed up that we interviewed after the con, they had like a bigger showing from what I remember.
Afterwards, as opposed to before it. Which is common, because sometimes guests show up, people don't know they're performing, they perform, it's like, oh snap, and then the outlets will show up and like, okay, now we got to get an interview with them.
Right.
But you and everybody else is trying to get an interview with that person as well, from the concert you all went to the night before, where you could have got, like we all did with Alan Z, one-on-ones, and then the actual MomoCon interview.
Right. Oh, thank you for that, by the way, Dana. Like, thank you. Love how we work together at these conventions.
So, but somebody had a question here in the chat. What are some of your best and worst moments as a press outlet?
So
I'm start with my worst, because Dana's probably still scolding me for this one. My worst was I hit the wrong button for the second interview we did with Dante Bosco, and we got video and no sound.
Yeah. We had a whole interview
with an interview.
So we got the video, but no audio.
We ain't got no audio at all.
So me and him. And me and Dante has a rapport with each other, because I've worked with him at other conventions, and he's also done stuff with me at my company. And so we are cutting loose. Like James could tell you, we were totally cutting loose. And the interview was a good 45, 50 minutes long.
It was definitely a good 30 plus minutes.
B-roll. Oh my God.
It was a good 30. It was more like 30 plus minutes. And it was no sound the whole way. And I'm just like bobbing my head, like laughing and everything. And it's like, and we didn't know there was no sound until I'm sitting down with Walter Jones, and she's like, oh, hold on. There's no sound.
And I'm trying to signal, and Walter thought I was nodding my head, and I'm like trying to let them know, no.
Because the thing is, I ignore the camera when I'm doing interviews. I face whoever.
But you can't ignore the person behind the camera that's trying to get your attention.
I look out every now and then, but for 90% of the time, I get no signal from her unless it's ask this question about mental health. And so that normally happens at the end of the interview. But before then, it's like when we get started, there's the signal to go, and I go, and I'm just like, hey, so da-da-da-da-da, my peripheral does not pick up the camera, because it's like I need to ignore the camera to do my job.
No, okay.
So
I'm gonna help you with this. I'm gonna help you with this media training. I'm gonna definitely
I know you ain't,
because like you gotta pay attention to your director, the person behind the camera that's giving you cues and things like that.
Yes, I know that now. Okay. I occasionally do make sure I check when I'm.
And Dante gave him such a hard time too.
He did. So that is by far the worst, because I won't say I've had any bad interviews. I've had short interviews where it's like I'm trying to pull things out of people and they're giving me one word, yes, no.
Yeah, I've had that happen.
Statements, and it's like, okay, I'm trying to pull. I'm asking these open-ended questions so I can get more out of you. I need to elaborate on that. And it's like they still won't elaborate. So that happens every now and then. I won't call those bad interviews. It's just that may be the first time they've been interviewed in like a long time, or, the first time ever at a convention they've been interviewed. So it may be nerves, or they just don't have much to talk about, which is understandable. It's rare, but it happens. I would say the best moment again was MomoCon last year, where a 15-20 minute interview with one DMC turned into an hour and 20.
Perfectly fine with that. I had no problems with that. I was just there,
None of us did. But it was so good, in fact, that Dana, what was it? The two guests who we had to interview afterwards were okay.
I had to go out and tell them, like, hey, I'm sorry. Over, can we reschedule? They're like, DMC? Oh, yes, you just You can push us back. Let the man talk.
And one of them wanted to come into the interview room to sit down and listen. So yeah,
I mean, but to be fair, oh my God, that's definitely probably hands down one of my best interviews too. But like, because again, we as a press outlet, we're all expecting a 15, maybe 20-minute interview, but the room is packed because of who the guest is. We had this happen with Ryota Ozawa and a couple other people the year before. So when DMC sat down, and DMC is a storyteller. He is someone, when he speaks, you just sit there eating his cookies like, yes, tell me more.
And then what helped even more is, of course, Joy and James asking the mental health question. And we did
not know that was going to open a floodgate.
How that was so important to him, and that opened up the door. And I thought it was hilarious because I look when a guest goes overtime. Both of y'all know I start looking at their handler or their agent like, and so I keep looking over there, and they're not looking at me, and I'm like, okay, we'll let him keep going. And then as he kept going, I'm staring over there, and I see his manager looking at me. I was like, oh crap, I'm about to get cussed out.
And his manager at that time was his son. And I remember you saying, like, his manager was like, hey, look, if we got to shut him up, I can shut him up.
Yeah, he said, if you want me to tell him to shut the hell up, you tell me to shut the hell up. I was like, I am not going to tell you to tell that man shut the hell up.
Right.
He was like, right now, he was like, they asked, mental health is a very dear question to him. So he's going to really talk about that. And I was just like, okay. And he was like, yeah, just let us know. I was like, I'll let him go until about an hour, and then
right around the hour, I think about shutting this down. And whatever the last question was, he took 15 minutes to answer it, but it was a great 15-minute answer.
Yes. So
other than that, I would say another fun interview. Somewhat I do like when we do have the press room at MomoCon full. The 2 years we had Stephanie Williams. Because again, when we get people in the press room at MomoCon, I try to find something about them that I know the rest of you all in the press room are not going to ask.
Yeah.
And for Stephanie, that was her journey into weightlifting those 2 years. So getting to ask her that question, because I know everyone's going to ask her about the writing, the work with DC, the work with Marvel, the character she's done, her own personal works and everything like that. And I get that in chatting with her to schedule time for the interviews when I see her on the floor at those conventions. So I know you all are going to ask them, so I don't ask them. But when I found, scroll her IG and saw her weightlifting, I was like,
that was a good one. That was a good one. I commend you for that one. You was like
no one was going to ask that question. I knew that because again, everyone just knows, if you, and again, and that's the other thing, following these people online to like learn what they're into outside of what they do and what we're interviewing them for. I find also poses like some wonderful openings for questions when you get to sit down with them one-on-one, because they do things on their they do post things on their social media that they normally wouldn't be asked in interviews, because it's again to some extent it's still their personal lives as well, not just their careers.
Yeah, because as far as like best to work, like it's hard for me to pick best because James has just been doing it over the last few years, and I started when like in 2021 doing it. And I will say I'll go with worst, and I've never had a bad experience with a guest, but I will say as far as a worst experience as a press outlet was actually it was, and Mark knows, we had another outlet in an interview with a guest and asked a question that was off the table, and it made the whole interview go sideways for the rest of the interview. And I was just like,
that's my worst. That is my worst, but also best.
Last year Dragon Con, that was and we were told certain things were off limits, and this person
no. Hold on, let me set the stage. Y'all are not telling the story right.
Hold on, I'm gonna post it. Pause it real quick, Mark, because our special guest has
Guest is here. Yeah,
joined.
that's why I glossed over it quickly.
Okay. All right. All right.
Yes, so
So,
I'm gonna go ahead, and that way we can go ahead and get our special guest to join us, and that way we can have a conversation with him. So let us welcome our special guest.
Hey guys,
Hello, sir.
all right.
can you hear
Hello.
me?
So,
Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you loud
Yes.
and clear.
I could have sworn I hit to enter the calendar and it didn't enter the calendar. My apologies for coming in at this late hour. I apologize so much.
That's all
I'm
right.
actually
We were
yeah,
we were just talking about various things and conventions and stuff, and we're like, when he joins, we're gonna
good.
welcome him with open
Thank
arms.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm
yes.
expecting like a school teacher response right now. Like, where's your homework? What are you doing?
Well,
Just
again,
kidding.
thank you for just coming on. So happy to have you. We
Oh,
had
thank
like,
you.
so we have this whole big thing planned. But
Yes.
for time's sakes, we're going to go through a speed run of it, if that's okay.
Let's do it.
with you.
Yeah.
Let us do it.
All right. So, director of Dragon Con. I'm sorry. You are the Trek director of Dragon Con. You
That's right.
are an actor. You are a voice
Yes.
actor. You are a content creator. You do so many things.
Yes.
I just the first question I gotta ask you. I'm so sorry to ask you this. No, I'm gonna go the right way. Let's start with Dragon Con. I got the outline
Sure.
up right here. Let's start with
Yes.
Dragon Con.
Sure.
How did you transition from just being a guest at Dragon Con to being the director of the Trek track?
Yes. So what happened is my first Dragon Con. Can y'all hear me clear enough though?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Perfect.
All right. So I was a guest for the first time in 2003. So when I went to Atlanta to attend Dragon Con, I was absolutely bowled over by everything. It was the most amazing convention experience I had ever experienced up until that point. And I've done many, many, many different conventions over all throughout the world. And I've experienced different types of conventions, different types of promoters, but there's nothing that comes anywhere close to Dragon Con. Dragon Con has been referred to by some as the Burning Man of conventions by some people. I refer to it as the eighth wonder of the world. It is something that everyone has to see before they die. It should be on every bucket list if you haven't been. And the funny thing is, Burning Man is on the same time as Dragon Con. So there's a lot of people I know that go to Burning Man that want to go to Dragon Con, but they can't relinquish that annual pilgrimage to the desert to do Burning Man. And I tell them, you're missing out. You should be at Dragon Con at least one year. Take a break from Burning Man and come to, and maybe Dragon Con people will take a break one year and go do Burning Man. Who knows? But when I was there in 2003, I wanted to come back the next year. So I asked my manager, can you get me back into Dragon Con next year? And they said, you know what? No, we're going to ask some Deep Space Nine actors to come. So, maybe the following year. So I asked 2005. They said, no, TNG actors are coming this year. And it kept going. So it's 04, 05, 06, 07. Finally, 2009, they said, Garrett, you can come back 6 years later. So I'm on stage, in 2009 with the Trek track director doing a Q&A in the track room. And at the end of it, I said, thank you, everyone, for attending my panel. And I look back at the Dragon Con Trek track director at the time. His name was Eric. And I look at Eric and I say, is there any way I can come back next year as a co-MC or some type of, host of some type of competition, whatever, anything, just so that I don't have to wait 6 more years to come back to Dragon Con.
Yes.
And he actually had a little bit of a chuckle. He went, and then he rolled his eyes, and that was the end of it. So, but then a month and a half or 2 later, I found out they'd let go of that gentleman from his position. He was basically fired. Essentially, he was let go, and so that there was a vacancy. So I thought, what can I? You know what? Why not? Why not? Let's just see if I can, shoot my shot. And I sent an email to Pat Henry, the head of Dragon Con, and I said, what do you think of me as your new Trek track director? Now he responds an email right back and he says, is this an April Fool's joke? He didn't understand. He said, are you being serious? And I said, yes. He goes, why would you do that? Why would you? Because in the history of conventions, no actor in front of the camera has gone behind the scenes like that to work
Yes.
with and create and get ready for, prepare for a convention. No one does that.
Right.
So he says, why would you do this? I said, well, I'll be perfectly honest with you. And I told him the whole story I told you, the whole setup. 2003, I fell in love with your convention. It was the most amazing thing ever. It took me 6 years to finally get back. And I said to him, I don't want to wait 6 more years. I said,
Right.
I'm going to be a little bit selfish here. And so he said, okay, well, I will give you a shot. I'll let you go. I'll give you 1 year next year as a sort of a, just a trial period, see how it works out. And it often felt like, have y'all all seen Princess Bride here? Has everyone
Yes.
seen Princess Bride?
Yes.
Okay. You remember when Wesley is talking about the story about the Dread Pirate Roberts? After he captures his ship, he says, he does all that work on the ship. At the end of the day, the Dread Pirate Roberts says, good work, Wesley. But I'll most likely kill you in the morning. Like the next day was going to be the end of his rate. But every day kept going by, and that's what happened with Dragon Con. After 1 year of being the Trek Track director, I was able. They were like, "Good work, Garrett. Good work moderating. Good work being the director." And I'll most likely fire you as director next year, but we'll see. And so I would keep coming back, and now I've been there since 2010. So I've been the Trek Track director
Wow.
for 16 years now. So
Awesome.
it's been a blessing. It really is. And
No,
Atlanta's a very, very
when-
special place. So
You had moderated a panel between Patrick Stewart and Gates McFadden. I want to say it was about 2016, 2017.
yeah.
I want to say, and because I had always been wanting to try to, get in the room with Patrick Stewart for Star Trek panels, but the lines are always, you've seen them, they're wrapped around
Yes.
the building with everything.
Oh yeah. Yes.
So when I found out you were moderating, I was like, wait a minute, this has to be a misprint. This can't be the same Garrett Wang that's Ensign Kim. Like, no. And
Oh, yeah.
there you were, and you like, and before the panel ended, you would let the whole room know, like, yeah, I'm the director of Trek Track. And my mind was blown at that point. I'm like, wait, when did this happen?
Yeah. You're like, come again? What? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so there's going to be consistency with the Star Trek guest, because like you said, it felt like there was always a rotation. Like this year we're doing TNG, this year we're doing Voyager, this year we're doing DS9. It's like, well, why can't we just get a mix of whoever's available to come through on a regular basis? Those who want to come back multiple years consecutively can do that. So I appreciate everything you've done for Trek Track.
Oh, definitely. So we try to have some variety every year. You know what I'm saying? If we just only focused on one show, that would be a huge disservice to the fandom, because let's face it, when it comes to sci-fi, Trek is the king, I think, other than maybe Doctor Who. They've been doing it for a while too, but still Trek has been doing it longer than everybody else. So they're the original. So yeah.
Now my coming to God moment on learning when you was the Trek director was last year doing the press tour, and we're all walking around getting behind the scenes stuff of Dragon Con, and I'm just loving it because I'm such a Dragon Con nerd. And we're there with Charles and Samantha and all the other cool press people, and we walk into the Walk of Fame, and it's like this is where all the magic happens, and we're all just sitting there and just like looking around, and then out of nowhere, this young gentleman walks up, comes from behind a curtain, and just walks towards us like, hey, how are y'all doing? And we all have our cameras out. Then we look, and we all put our cameras away and all collectively smile and start nerding out like, oh my God, Ensign Harry Kim is just here. And he's like, hey, I'm Garret Wang. I'm the director of the Star Trek track. And we all like anime floored to the ground and was like, are you serious? And I was like, this had to be staged or planned. Like, I don't believe what's happening. So it was a king to God moment we had with all the other press outlets last year. That made it a great experience.
Yes.
I remember that. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. And there were a lot of like dropped open mouths. It was funny.
Yes. And I'm surprised nobody was like, hey, we got to get a picture with you. It was like everybody understood we're just going to collectively have this as a moment that we share together, and we'll just have this be something we talk about in stories to our grandchildren with no evidence.
Exactly.
And I respect that because it like, oh my God, such a cool moment to have. But thank you. Like when I was able to get you to come on the show, it was another coming to God moment. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. And on my birthday of all days. But anyway,
it's today. Oh my God.
Yes, it
today.
is.
Birthday.
Thank you. When you selected today, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. So
Oh my God.
this was
Happy
the
birthday
biggest
to me, he said.
Yes. Now,
Oh my
As
goodness.
director, you've been director for 16 years. What are some of your
Yes.
fondest memories of Dragon Con?
Mm. Wow. So there's so many. Usually they happen at the Miss Star Trek Universe pageant. That's sort of like the unsung. I don't know. It's really a lot of people don't know about it, and it goes on Sunday. And it is not a standard beauty pageant. It's literally about talent and who wins over the crowd, right? So there's a standard introduction of each contestant, and you could be any alien species or human if you want to be in the pageant. And after the introduction, we have the talent portion, and then we have the question portion. So typically, like the Miss America pageant, like that. But the year that this one gal shows up, she's dressed like a Tribble. She has a complete Tribble costume on, like she is the Tribble. And her talent was she brings out this acoustic guitar, and she starts singing John Lennon's "Imagine." And she's singing about, she goes, "Imagine all the tribbles," and she's trying to like sing about tribbles and Klingons getting along, okay? Because there's like, Klingons and tribbles don't get along, so they don't like each other. And so when she sings this whole song, the stage is like taking out like, their lighters, and like it's just like at a concert. It was crazy, and she had a beautiful voice, and she played the guitar perfectly. At the end of it, two fans dressed as in Klingon cosplay bum rushed the stage and just picked her up off of the ground and just held her up, like she was sitting on her own throne like that. It was amazing. So she won that year, definitely. You remember Michael Flatley, the dance guy, the
Yes.
Irish dance, yeah, Lord of the Dance,
River
yeah.
dance,
So
yes.
yes, river dance. So a gal came out and did a river dance, Irish dance routine, dressed as a Cardass, no, a Romulan, full Romulan, sold maybe captain's, yeah, Romulan captain's outfit, and she starts dancing, and this background song is uh yeah, it's the end of the world as we know it. It's that song, right? And, and it's just that combination of that song with the
Oh,
Romulan cosplay and dancing like Irish folk dance right there. She
oh
won
my
it,
God.
So it just so that to me, all those special moments of each winner each year of Miss Star Trek Universe pageant, that's what stands out the most. I mean, there's so many other moments that I've had, but those specific moments are the ones that I'm the most fond of, or the ones that make me smile the most.
Very nice.
That is
Awesome.
awesome. That is so
Yeah.
awesome. So, in just your own words, what you kind of told us why you fell in love with Dragon Con, but what is the thing that you saw at Dragon Con that was like, no, I have to keep doing this or find a way to just keep doing this? Because Dragon Con does so much for so many different fandoms. And I know you yourself have to be, your inner child geek had to see something that was there. It's like, oh, I got to do this. And I'm sure it had to be something outside of Star Trek itself.
Well, yeah, I mean, overall, if you talk about cosplay, some of the best cosplay you have ever seen in your life will be at Dragon Con.
Yeah, oh,
Hands
100%
down,
yes.
hands down. I have people coming up to me at other conventions that I'm at, and they say, "My dream is to go to San Diego Comic-Con because of all the cosplays." And I say to them, "That is a horrible dream to have," is what I say, because you got to be in a lottery. You have to enter a lottery to be even considered to purchase a ticket to San Diego Comic-Con. If
Yes.
you're one of the lucky 250,000, so just imagine there's millions of people trying to go to Comic-Con, only 250,000 or so get a ticket. Then you've got to pay exorbitant, crazy hotel prices in San Diego, California. And to fly to San Diego, that's
Right.
not cheap either, right?
Right.
So the expenses are just out of this world. And the funny thing is, if you watch on YouTube any person at San Diego Comic-Con interviewing cosplayers, as they're interviewing somebody in a cool anime cosplay or whatever, watch the people walking behind. 99 out of 100 are just in jeans and t-shirts. So I'm saying of the
Mhm.
250,000, maybe less than 1 percentage point are actually in cosplay of the
Yeah.
250,000 people. Dragon Con, I would say it's probably 60%, maybe 70% of the people that are at the convention are in cosplay. And they're bringing 8. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, they're bringing 8. We've got somebody right here. They're
Yeah.
bringing 8 cosplays.
Occasional
Some of them
cosplay.
bring 8 to 12 cosplays. So one in the morning, one in the afternoon, one in
Yes,
the
they
evening.
do.
They're
Yeah,
changing up
I'm
over
not
and over
that
again.
skilled.
And And you know what I love about Dragon Con? Dragon Con has mashup cosplay. So
Yes.
Oh yes. Oh my God. Yes.
Star Trek mixed with Marvel, or Star Trek with DC, or or Star Trek and Game of Thrones. I mean, it's just amazing to see the variants and the mashups
Mhm.
of two different fandoms come together in a costume, and it's all hand sewn and hand fabricated. It's so amazing. It really is. And and for me, I think that is another a big draw. When I first came, I was amazed at the variety and the the level of quality, the production value put into these cosplays. They're amazing. They really are. So
Yes.
that's another thing. And it's the overall energy, and that energy is an energy that's also combined with Atlanta. Atlanta's
Mhm.
energy combines with Dragon Con's energy, and all that, forms this mystical, magical time that you just can't get enough of. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I
Mhm.
think some of my favorite cosplays I've seen have been because of Dragon Con. And you're right.
Yeah.
Dragon Con is like church for nerds.
Oh
You're
yeah.
not going to come
Yeah.
underdressed to Dragon Con. You're not. I'm going to do my cosplay crunch after this show and get it together. It's going to be amazing. What can we expect from the Star Trek track this year, with it being Dragon Con's 40th anniversary? Are there any sneak peeks you can kind of give us a hint about, or anything you can just tell the fans?
Yeah, I think overall, because it is an anniversary celebration, we're trying to up the game in every aspect. So every different panel that we have, in our programming, but also, for instance, for our annual party that we have our 10 forward party, and it's going to this is the first year that we're going to have more elaborate visuals, just be able to, like, Trek visuals being shown on the screen, whereas before it was more like, okay, we've got our top 40 DJ guy playing the wedding music, and maybe there's some lights on him. But now, so we're kind of trying to up the game and step it up in all aspects. Even our track room, we're going to have some new designs installed. And for anybody who is a fan of Star Trek, make it to the track room. Just check it out, because Joe Campbell helps us out with fabricating a lot of the signs and a lot of the things that we have on the wall, which are super inventive, super creative, and it's almost like a little bit of a Star Trek museum when you walk into the track room. So everything is going to be uh, taken to the nth level because it is the anniversary. So. And I don't want to go any more beyond that. I'll say that much. So. I'm trying to be vague on purpose. I want people to
Yeah.
get it.
Okay, no, that's
Download the app and then search for the Trek track
Right.
Yes.
on there, and see everything as it posts in the
Yes.
next 3 to 4 days. Right now it's all the fake stuff right now on the
The
app.
fake stuff. There's fake
Yes,
stuff going on.
getting
Oh.
CPR on the kids track and stuff like
Oh,
that.
that's so funny.
The
That's
kids
very
learning
funny.
how to do CPR.
Right.
Now, whatever you do, don't ask
Yeah.
when the app will be fully uploaded and ready, because that is a drinking game, and I am like me and a lot of other Dragon Con attendees are trying to survive for Dragon Con. So don't ask
Yeah.
when the app will be ready. Just go download
Sometime
it.
between now and the first day of the con, the app will be ready.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all you need to know. It'll be ready by that Wednesday. That's all you
You know
need
what's
to know.
funny? When y'all are saying the app will be ready, it sounds like Applebee's, the restaurant. Applebee, what? Applebee ready?
Oh my
That's
God.
the first thing I heard. Does that mean I'm hungry? What does that mean? When I'm saying
No, you're probably
Applebee's?
hungry.
Oh my Lord. So
Now,
funny.
I would
Yes.
be remiss
Let's-
if we don't ask you questions about your career as being an actor. You have been on All American Girl, which is
Yes.
one of the first Asian American sitcoms. You were on an episode with I think episode 2. I was just watching it earlier, and you work opposite Margaret Cho. You were the featured guest of that episode. Obviously, Star Trek. We're gonna talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
And you voice acted in other. You voice acted in other video games. You voice acted in other TV shows. You have done stage plays.
Yes.
I actually have an interesting question I'd like to ask you. I saw
Sure.
somewhere that in the beginning of your career, you made an agreement with your parents that you will explore acting for X amount of time. And if you didn't, find any considerable roles, you would pivot to another career. What was
Yes.
that if you wanted to talk about it, what was the exact plan that you made, and what career would you have pivoted to if you hadn't started landing acting roles in commercials and then landing your role in All American Girl?
Yes, if I didn't find success in acting, I would probably be a lounge singer in Vegas. I don't know. I'm not sure. I really don't know. I didn't have a plan further than that because I had, when I was in college at UCLA, well, let's wind it back. I was actually in grade school in Bermuda. So first grade was to fifth grade was in Bermuda, the island of Bermuda, where I was in a British private school. So I had a British accent. So from there, we've left in the middle of fifth grade. We end up in Memphis, Tennessee. So I walk into a Christian private school where all the kids see this Chinese kid speaking with a British accent. And so they're looking at me going, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Well, I'm from the island of Bermuda. I attended a British private school. Why do you talk like that? Oh, I just told you I attended British private school there." And so as I'm talking, they're laughing their asses off. They don't even understand what's happening in front of them. But I go from there to graduate high school, senior year. Then I go to UCLA pre med, and that does not happen. So maybe third year in college, I called my parents up and I said, I'm not going to go to med school. My mom's like,
Mm.
"What?" Yeah, she says, "Are you joking?" And she goes, "Oh, you're serious?" I said, "Yeah, no med school." He said, "Oh, you're going to get your you're going to go to law school."
Yeah.
So no, not doing law school. "Going to get your MBA, business school?" I go, "Nope, not doing that." She goes, "Well, what have you decided to do?" I said, "I'm going to give acting a shot." And she dropped the phone and she picked it back up and she said, "Name one Chinese, no, forget it. Name any Asian man who's found success in Hollywood. Just name one right now." And I immediately said, "Bruce Lee," is what I said. Okay. So without skipping a beat, my mother goes, "He's dead. Pick another."
Mm.
She didn't skip a beat. "He's dead. Pick another." And at that point, I could not pick another. I sat there thinking, racking my brain, thinking, who can I select in there? Because all the people that you know now, yeah, not a lot of the Hong Kong stars that came over here, like Jackie Chan, they didn't come over here, eh, in earnest until much later, basically. Jackie
Hmm.
Chan did do Cannonball Run in the 70s, but then he left. He didn't come back out for a long time.
Yeah.
Chow Yun-fat, and then all the homegrown Asian actors. It just, nobody was doing anything. So I couldn't answer that question. So we fought. My parents and I we debated for 5 years. Every week it would be the same thing. "Have you given up your ridiculous idea of becoming an actor?" And I would say, "No, I have not." And they got to the point they were threatening to disown me, to cut me off entirely. But I just kept taking acting classes, doing theater, not doing auditions or anything like that for 5 solid years, until at the very end I got very lucky because they went to a family reunion that I did not attend. And there's a couple of very progressive aunties. In fact, they're so progressive they didn't even marry Asian men. One married a Greek man, and the other one married a Jewish man. So essentially, they married outside of the culture, outside of the race, and they were the ones that told my mom. They said, and my dad, they said, "You guys have been fighting him this entire time for 5 years, debating, telling him he's chosen the wrong career path, and you know, basically telling him not to follow what he wants to follow, his passion. So why don't you try something novel?" And it's the whole thing about Sisyphus trying to push that rock up the hill, and it just rolls back down. You keep doing the same darn thing, guess what? You're gonna get the same result. So
Yeah.
Right.
my mother's cousins told her, "Why don't you try the opposite? Why don't you say you're gonna support him and see what happens with telling your son you're gonna support him 100%." And so my parents came to me after that reunion and says, "What can we do for you?" And I said, "Well, all of my actor friends that are extremely talented, they're not finding any success because most of their time is spent working as a waiter at multiple restaurants to make enough
Hmm.
money to pay for rent in LA and food and acting class money." So I said, I need a contract. I need something that will literally, uh, I need, I need support from you guys. I need room and
Mm.
board. I need to be able to pay for my food, my rent, my acting class without working at multiple restaurants. And so my mom said, "Well, so you need a loan?" I said, "Yes." She goes, "For how long?" I threw out 2 years. And she said, "Let me think about it." I thought they would negotiate down for like a year, but a day later she called back. So, "I talked to your dad. We're going to give you 2 years." But after
Mm.
that, we are cutting you off entirely. It's like you either pick another profession or we don't talk to you anymore. So that was my time frame. But still, it was
Wow.
2 years of focus
Right.
of just. So I
Right.
started going on auditions, and in LA, you have two different types of agents. You have a theatrical agent that handles film and TV auditions. Then you have a commercial agent that only handles commercials.
Mm.
So I was going on only one commercial audition a week at that time. It was very, very, very rare that they needed any Asians in any commercials in the 90s. Okay.
Mhm.
Just
Right.
very rare.
Mhm.
So I just remember one a week, sorry, one a month. And whereas someone who was in their early 20s and Caucasian, um, and a young actor, Caucasian actor, same age as me, that would be doing 7 to 8 per week. So in a month, they were doing, close to 25 to 30 auditions, commercial auditions, where I was getting one a month. Now,
Wow.
at the 9 month period, I had booked zero. So I'm always almost at the halfway point of that 2 year loan. But the funny thing was, I literally said in my head, I said, I'm done with these commercial auditions. I was at the gym. I said, I'm gonna call my commercial agent and thank them for the 9 auditions they've sent me on, because it's been 9 months, right? Only one a
Mm.
month. And I get home and there's an answer machine message, and basically it's the commercial agency. They say, hey, you have a commercial audition for Burger King, playing an employee down in Santa Monica at 3 p.m. And I thought, you know what? Fine, I'll go on one last one. But I found the secret to finding a little bit of success is that you have to take the pressure off of yourself. Most actors in every audition they bring in desperate energy. Desperate energy means after the audition, when the director goes, okay, cut, the actor goes, oh, I could do that a little faster or a little happier for you. And another time, that's desperate energy, right? You're not
Mm.
confident in what you put up there during the
Mhm.
audition. And so with me walking to that commercial audition, knowing it was my last commercial audition ever. I was going to stop doing that entirely, just focus on film and TV auditions. It took all the pressure off of me. I got to the
Mhm.
audition, sat down in the waiting room, signed in, and the kid next to me was a young African American actor, same age as me. And we struck up a conversation. We started laughing and we started talking about how, why are we auditioning? Why don't we just write our own project? Like that. We started making up this. We started like spitballing in the waiting area for the Burger King one. So I said to him, he goes, "What kind of show should we produce and write?" I said, "It's simple. You and me. We're cops, Asian cop, black cop, partners like that with comedy." This idea was thrown out before Rush Hour even came out. Okay. So I feel like I threw that in the universe and that happened because I said that in the
Wow.
waiting room. And this kid and I, and he goes, "What's the intro like?" I said, "Oh, it's simple. You're walking across camera, just like at the beginning of a James Bond movie, how James Bond turns right at camera and points his gun. That's you. But as you're pointing the gun, I fly over you with this crazy chop socky kung fu kick, just screaming like going over his head." So we started laughing so hard about our fake TV idea, right? The guy running the Burger King commercial comes out. He's like, "What are you guys doing?" I said, "Oh, sorry, we were talking about our TV show, like that, our idea." And then he said, "Well, you guys are making a ruckus. You're not very professional. Just please pipe down." So I ended up going in that audition, and I literally. I do the audition and I say thank you. I don't try to do it any different way. No desperate energy. I start walking out. As I start walking out, the guy stops me, and there's human nature is you always want what you can't have. And for me, sort of establishing I am in control of this audition. I gave you the best I have, and if you don't cast me, that's your fault. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Mm.
out. So but it's not arrogance. It's like there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. As I'm walking out, he stops me and he says, "Hey, um, before you go, would you like a T-shirt from our production company?" Which is the weirdest question ever. Like that never happens. And I said, "Okay." He goes, "What size are you?" I said, "Large." He reaches into a box that was nearby. I don't even know why he had the shirts there. He goes, "Here, take this." And I leave. I get home and I call my agent saying, "Hey, thank you for working for me for 9 months, but that Burger King commercial audition would be the last one because I'm just I'm gonna focus on film and TV. It's just too much hassle getting to the auditions, fighting traffic and parking." And the agent goes, "You might want to rethink that." I said, "Why?" "Well, you booked the Burger King, plus Burger King wants you to use you for two different commercials. So you booked three commercials in one hit." I go, "What?" I go, "Oh my God." He goes, "You want to quit?" I said, I guess not." And he goes, "And in fact, I have another audition for you tomorrow, Chase Manhattan Bank." And remember, I was getting one a month. Now I'm getting 2 in 2 days. I was on top of the world, and all the stars aligned for me at this 9 month period. I took the same attitude, personality, everything into the Chase Manhattan Bank one. Booked that one. 2 days later, it was Kellogg's Rice Krispies treats. Walked into that one, nailed that one. So now it's one, two, three, four. Now that's 5 total commercials booked in a period of 4 days, right? Then the next day was another one, was Big Red Chewing Gum. One of those Kiss a Little Longer, Big Red commercials. That was the big daddy one that's called the Class A National. So in the world of commercials, Class A National is a commercial that runs every day of the week and at every hour of the day. So you can't broadcast Budweiser at 8 in the morning. Okay. So no alcohol early in the morning. But chewing gum, you could have it any time of the day. So that
Hmm.
was the big, big, big money maker. And once the residual checks started coming in for that, I remember I went home and I called my mom and I said, I booked Burger King. And my mom was so not just, she couldn't believe it. She was like, oh, really? How come I haven't seen it then? I said, because mom, I just went to the audition. We haven't even filmed it yet. That's why. Okay. It's, yeah. So she's like, she's still coming down on me. But ultimately, because of those 5 commercials, and literally 3 months after that, I booked Voyager. But those commercials, I was able to write. I wrote 2 checks to them, which covered the 9 month period of what they gave me. And to be a son, to be able to pay to write a check for, here's 10,000, mom, here like that. Here's another 10K. It was just, it was a magical time, and it just it put me on the map. But that's how I initially got into. Wait, what was the? I've already talked over the question. What was the initial question? I'm like losing the question. What was the?
No, you
Oh,
answered
it's
it.
about your deal with your parents.
Yeah, you definitely answered it.
Oh my God, I went over.
No, that's
No,
fine.
You were fine. You're fine.
Like we're
was
captivated by
great.
the whole story.
Yes.
Like, I can't wait.
But
to
what was the actual question though? There was
the
an end
question
to it
was,
though.
what was the plan that you and your parents worked out for
Oh
you to do the acting?
yeah,
Which you
right,
definitely
right.
answered
You
that.
got it.
Yes.
Yeah, you got the plan. Yeah, the 2 year
Yeah.
Exactly.
plan. Yeah, finances, and I paid them back. So I finished it good. I thought
Yes.
I meandered so far that I forgot to answer it. I'm like,
No,
oh
you
no.
No,
did.
no,
You
no.
stayed right
It
on
was
track.
perfect. It was
Yay,
so
good.
perfect. It's like you're trained for this.
I try.
Now,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm having a
that's it.
fan moment right now. Since you mentioned Voyager, I guess we
Yes.
got to talk about that for a little bit. You played Ensign Harry Kim for 7 seasons. Yeah, 7 seasons.
7 seasons.
Yeah,
That's
7
right.
seasons.
Yes. You've also voiced yourself in Star Trek lore. That's probably one of the funniest episodes of Star Trek lore. That
Oh,
the Ensign Harry
he's,
Kim episode. Oh
oh
my
my
God, you was
gosh.
villain. Not going to spoil it. If you haven't seen it, please go watch that. That episode is hilarious. And finally, in
I
Star
love it.
Trek Starfleet Academy, you're
Yeah.
on the remembrance wall as an admiral,
Yes.
which means you finally
I
got
know.
promoted.
Finally.
That's my first question I want to ask you. You got
Yes.
promoted off screen in Starfleet Academy. You're finally an admiral,
Yeah.
where they finally canonized your promotion. But like
Yeah.
throughout all of Voyager and Star Trek history, the joke is Ensign Harry Kim is the forever ensign. Um, as
Yes,
the
sir.
actor of Ensign Harry Kim, does that make you like feel some kind of way about that character? Because I know you put so much time and effort and energy into that for some writer to never like canonize just a promotion or
Yeah.
something as simple as that.
Yeah. It gives me a little validation, a little closure for sure, because,
Mhm.
he starts, and just so people know, ensign is not a private. An ensign is basically the most junior officer. So he is an officer, but the most junior. And so I remember at the end of the show, it ended, and I came across some guy that was in U.S. Navy. I said, "Hey, man, if you're an ensign 7 years later, what rank are you?" He's like, "Almost lieutenant commander." I'm like, "Yes, yep, that's right, almost lieutenant commander." so, so my so when now that Starfleet Academy shows Admiral Kim on that wall of remembrance, it makes me feel like after Voyager got home, the story that no one actually saw was Starfleet was so impressed after they looked at all the logs of all the crap that Harry took all those years, just you name it. If someone gets kicked, stabbed, or punched, or phasered, or killed, Harry Kim died and came back to life. It
Multiple
happened to
times.
Harry. Yeah, more than once. So
Yeah.
Starfleet, when they went through all the records of 7 years, They said, "Wow, it's simple. We're just going to promote him directly to admiral. We're going to go from ensign to admiral for all the harsh, crazy stuff you had to endure the entire time, and you had to deal with Tuvok, and his lack of humor, sense of humor, whatever it may be. I feel like that is the way that it went. I just skipped a bunch of the middle ranks. So
No, that's perfect. It's almost like Voyager had a whole episode where Ensign Harry Kim was like, I think I have enough experience to do some command work. I just watched that this morning where you it was the season 5 episode where you finally were like command but like third shift and you was working with one of the other officers. That was a really great episode for you. Really great character development episode. But you mentioned that your character dies a lot, and Ensign Harry Kim dies a lot. My favorite is probably in Year of Hell, where you're just sucked out into space, and then the two Voyagers merge together, and you're just in
that was not Year of Hell.
No, you're right. You're right. That was I forgot the name of that title.
That episode was, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on this?
I'm blanking on it too. Was it not Equinox?
No, I should know this. Oh my
goodness.
Because
because it was something caused a phase shift, so there were the two Voyagers were existing in the same space. But one was getting beat to hell.
What was the name of that episode, guys?
That's the only thing I can't
remember. It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember. Oh my god!
Harry Kim dies. The two Voyagers split apart. Oh my gosh!
And you by the end of the episode, we're looking it up. But by the end of the episode, because it starts out where someone's having a baby.
Yes, Naomi Wildman is being
deadlock.
Born.
Deadlock.
Yes. There you go.
Okay, so you saw how the Harry that survives comes from the duplicate Harry from the other ship.
Yes.
Comes over and he saves the baby by taking out the Vidians with his. He shoots one, then he does a forward. Harry does a forward roll, like he rolls forward and shoots another one. So I told the director, I said, I got to add some pizzazz to this. I said, he goes, what do you want to do? I said, I'm gonna do a forward roll, like make it look super cool. Like I'm gonna shoot one Vidian and then see the other guy and dodge his phaser by diving forward and rolling and then shooting him. And they said, can you do that? I said, yeah, I can do that. They go, do you need a stuntman? I go, I don't need a stuntman. Let me just do it, please. I'm just like, I can do this. Let me do this. So that was a lot of fun. But to me, that episode, Deadlock, which is a great episode, the funniest part was when Harry dies because B'Elanna's there. He's getting sucked out into space. And B'Elanna's like, Harry! She's like reaching for him, Harry! And then all of a sudden she hits her combat. She goes, where's the Janeway? And then you hear Janeway, go ahead, B'Elanna. And then at that point, she goes, Harry's dead. And then if you look at Janeway, it cuts back to her. She thinks for a second. She goes, what about deck 8? Like, she doesn't even care that Harry's alive. She goes on to ask about the status of another deck, right?
He does.
It's like, what? You don't even care about Harry? I thought he was your beloved Harry. But I guess
maybe she hadn't had coffee yet.
She hadn't had her coffee.
She hadn't had coffee yet.
Well, that's one theory. The other theory is that Harry was Janeway's boy toy, so she couldn't show any affection towards him or any type of preference. Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
I've heard that fan theory before. Oh my god, that's so amazing.
Go for it. Was a mother. It felt like a mother-son relationship between the two characters.
It did. And that theory that I hear is a naughty mother-son relationship.
Oh gosh,
that's thrown out there.
You're doing the Brady Bunch all over again.
Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh. Great episode though.
Yeah, it is. I just have to say this. Ensign Harry Kim is probably one of my favorite characters from Voyager, but like you worked with so many talented actors and actresses between Robert Picardo, Jerry Ryan, Kate Milgrews. So much strong talent, and you were one of the core cast members. But in the beginning, I remember the first 3 seasons, Harry Kim didn't have a lot of great character development episodes. And it seemed like a lot of the other cast members, especially like Robert Picardo, and then once Jerry Ryan came on the show, took a lot of like the writers' attention for reasons. But then when you got like your storylines and your character development episodes, like it was great. Like, what was it like bouncing off like such legendary or soon to be legendary actors and actresses in this historic moment in time with Star Trek.
Yeah, for me, it was like constantly going to school every day. I was learning something from all my fellow actors that I'm working with, just watching them, how professional they were. Kate, to be honest, I don't think she ever forgot a line. I don't think she ever messed up on a line in the entire 7 years in every scene that I worked with her. I don't recall her ever. And that's so rare when it comes to actors to not go up on a line, to not forget something. It's very, very rare. And so that, for me, it was a learning experience to be able to work with all these actors. And me being such a newbie, I just felt so privileged to be part of this group, and also part of a larger group, which is still a very small fraternity, and that is the fraternity of all the actors that have played Star Trek main characters throughout the years. It's not a very large group, It's increasing with all the new Trek, obviously, but back in the '90s, no, there wasn't that many. Yeah, there was TOS, TNG, DS9, and Voyager. We were the fourth series, so. It's just such a privilege. And me being a sci-fi fan before even booking the role of Harry Kim, playing the role of Harry Kim was a dream come true. It really was. I still pinch myself. I'm like, I can't even believe that I did it. I did it. So I'm pretty excited. Yeah.
So
that's go for it.
A question real quick. You're probably the second your character of Harry Kim, to go through the entire series of Star Trek and fail at love, the first being Geordi LaForge.
So Geordi was bad too, right?
Geordi, oh my gosh, Geordi was, it was like the running joke that Geordi will never find love. And, it took until the Picard series for him to actually okay, cool, fine. They did justice to Geordi's love life, because that was the running joke.
Or you could say Geordi's true love was engineering or the warp core or something like that. You could say that's his only love.
There were a couple of holograms along the way, but
right.
With Harry Kim, the first couple of seasons is I'm homesick, letting Tom Paris drag you into horrible dates with whatever planet you stop by. There was, I think, a couple of your love interests, I used loosely, tried to kill you just because.
Yeah, there was the one episode where you got space STI. That was
oh my gosh, yeah.
That scene between you and Picardo.
Yes. Oh my gosh, so many funny moments with Harry and his failed. Well, here's the thing. Harry had a girl back home, right? He had a fiance. He had Libby, so he was trying to stay.
That's true. Yeah.
True to her. But then Tom is such a bad influence on Harry and convinces him he's got to date a Delaney sister, one of the twins.
Right.
But over time, Harry. I'm sure Harry felt like, okay, Libby's probably already moved on at this point. But to speak to what you were talking earlier, Mark, you were talking about how Harry just didn't get a lot in season one, and it's true. So at the end of season one, before season two began, I had a meeting with one of the writers, with Brandon, and it was sort of a status check, update sort of a time. And I just told him, I said, "Do you have any concerns?" I said, "Yeah, Harry hasn't had a stunt. Harry hasn't kissed the girl. Nothing has happened. It's all of season one." So that's where Non Sequitur came out, that episode in season two, where he goes back to San Francisco and sees Libby. So they put the action and the kissing of the girl all in one episode. And I told them, you could have spread that out throughout the year. You didn't have to stick it all in one episode,
right?
But they did, yeah. So, but overall, Harry just doesn't find love. He seems to just bark up the wrong tree over and over again. It's very sad. I had a friend of mine who watched the show when she was in Norway as a kid. And she said that she would tell her grandmother, she goes, "I feel so bad for Harry Kim." She goes, when I grow up, if he doesn't find a woman, I'll marry him." That's what she said. I was laughing so hard. Even young children can see how badly Harry can't seem to find love. Yeah, it's sad.
Because I think the running joke is between that era, Next Generation, DS9, Voyager, the three characters who catch the most flack, whether it's just mentally or physically, is Harry Kim, LaForge, and Worf. It kind of skips over Deep Space Nine because no one really DS9 is like station, on a space station, like everyone gets their shine from the word go, but it's like TNG and Voyager, there's like you said, the filling out of season 1 goes by, and it's like there are a couple of characters who are part of the main cast. We don't do anything with them,
right?
Yeah.
So it's but as I talk with a lot of my friends, it's like year 1 of anything sci-fi, especially Trek, is a filling out phase. Like what went right, what went wrong, and then
Most definitely
there is some course correction from season 2 on. But season 1 is always like the filling out phase, if you will.
Yes, and the filling out phase is specifically for, if you think about it, all these actors that are not familiar with sci-fi, which is 90% of the series regulars that you see on Star Trek. They don't know sci-fi, so they enter into a world, and they don't know Trek. They enter into a world where technobabble exists, which is not easy. And then the other thing is you're working with green screens, and they called it blue screen in the beginning, now green screens. And green screen work, they don't teach you that when you go to Yale School of Drama. There's not green screen 101. They don't have that. It's all these different acting schools and graduate programs. These are conservatory programs where they teach you movement for the actor, stage combat for the actor, all these kind of things, but not something, like green screen. So I think the first year or two are the actors trying to get used to acting in a way they've never acted before. So acting with the technology of using a green screen, of acting with a CGI alien in front of you that's not even there, right? All this kind of stuff. That's why it takes 1, 2, maybe usually season 3, TNG, DS9, Voyager all starts to move, and then 4, 5, and 6, it's amazing, right? Those seasons just start getting better. And so Harry getting the 100th episode, which was timeless. And I was told, they said, this is, the writers told me, Brandon said, listen, in a month from now, you're going to be filming Timeless. It is our 100th episode. It was going to be a 2-parter. We're going to consolidate it into 1 episode. We consider this our City on the Edge of Forever in reference to the original series, wonderful episode. So that is literally it made my day to know that they had chosen my character to be the focus of what they were going to say was the signature Voyager episode, Timeless. It made up for the fact that Harry wasn't used as much in other parts of the season. So you're right, Harry wasn't. You wouldn't see a lot of Harry, but when you did, it was really great stuff. Right? They gave him some good stuff to do. So,
you mentioned that episode was supposed to or at least initially was a 2-parter. Something that a lot of Voyager fans, myself included, we feel some type of way about, because news has come out recently, all these years after the fact. Year of Hell was a 2-parter. I believe it's the 4th or 5th season, if I'm not mistaken. And the original idea was for it to be at least half the season was supposed to be Year of Hell, because of everything that's supposed to take place, because there's a lot that feels unresolved for the 2 episodes we got. And whether we feel it was rushed or not completely fleshed out, like, what was that like in just filming those 2 episodes, and what was the discussion there on set? Like, did you all know that the original plan was for it to be longer than the 2 episodes that you originally got, or you just told going in that here are the 2 episodes, this is the concept? And because even to this day, you're watching it, and I do rewatches of Voyager often. Every time I look at it, it's like, I don't want to say I cringe, but it's like, here it is, so much untapped potential.
I agree with you. And back in those days, now if you watch any TV show, they're 8 to 10 episodes per season. Early, we had 24 to 26. So at that time, they clearly could have devoted 6, 8 episode arc to just Year of Hell. Yeah. And you're right. Every loose end would have been tied. It would have been amazing. But I don't know what it was, whether it was a fear of, wait a minute, we've been delivering episodes that kind of stand alone. They don't really, correlate, or they don't track. Yeah, they don't connect. Are we going to lose our core audience because that's what they're used to? But come on, I don't think they were thinking straight. They should have definitely dove right into that 6 episode arc or whatever they could have squeezed into, for a Year of Hell. Yeah, because it did seem rushed to me. It's a great idea. For me, it was a bummer because I didn't get to really, everyone else got to play World War II. They were in the holodeck as the characters fighting against the Herodian. And for me,
You had
Um,
to maintain the holodeck.
I had to
Right.
maintain the holodeck. I was like, what? I would I, you understand where I'm coming from.
Mhm.
I was the Rodney Dangerfield of
Yes.
Voyager. It's just no respect. I'm maintaining the holodeck. I didn't get to wear cool, Klingon clothes or cool World War II
Uh,
uniforms. So yeah, that would have been amazing if they were able to stretch it out. It would have been so cool.
yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
That is awesome. That's so funny how you said it like that.
Mhm.
Actually, I think that's an interesting question. You are a Asian American actor, and you often, from what I've seen in some of your roles, have been cast as Korean heritage character or other
Mhm.
uh, Asian ethnicities outside of your own national ethnicity. Does it
Right.
make you feel some kind of way, or let me just ask you like this: how do you feel when you're cast as a Korean American or a Korean actor in a role, or a Chinese actor in a role? I mean, you are Chinese, or
Yeah.
of any other Asian ethnicity that's not Chinese. Does that like is that like a cringe thing? Because I know Hollywood, like you mentioned earlier, there weren't a lot of Asian American actors or Asian actors in Hollywood at the time when you entered. Um,
Yeah.
you being one of the very few to be successful at it, might I add.
Yeah.
Is there like any stereotypes or hangups about that, if that makes sense to you?
Well, let me just tell you a quick story. I was at Borders Books. Remember Borders Books? You could go in there and just
Yeah.
you could go on their balcony. You could get a coffee, whatever. So massive. It was a massive, huge bookstore chain in the U.S. So I was at Borders, sitting on the outside, the one close to UCLA, and the table next to me outside was four Korean American UCLA students. And they're sitting there. They're studying for midterms right there, and they're talking about their midterm and just school stuff. And out of the blue, and I'm just reading a book. I'm on the table right next to them. Out of the blue, one of them goes, "And what is up with that Chinese dude playing Korean on Voyager?" Is what the person says, right? So I'm holding my book, and so as I'm reading my book, I'm like, let me just hide underneath I bring my book even higher, and they all start into this debate over whether that was offensive to the Korean people and all this stuff like that. So I slowly got up and walked away. Is what I did. I felt like if they saw me, they would have started yelling at me. So I think there's some people who take offense to that. Definitely, they feel like it's not right. But unless I have to speak in Korean
Mhm.
on the show, then it doesn't make any sense. And I would have learned anything in Korean and pronounced it as best I could if I had Korean to say. But yeah, it's just funny how people get that hang up about, you're the wrong Asian to play that. It's like, oh, okay.
Hmm.
Have people told you that? Like, have anyone told you that before?
Yeah, I went in for an audition for a Filipino role. A lot of people mistake me for Filipino actually, and I went in, did the audition, and the director producer was like, "We love you. You're great. You're perfect for this role. But our money, our backers, the people who are paying for this film, they're Filipino. They would
Oh,
not
yeah.
be cool with a Chinese dude playing a Filipino guy." And I'm like, but I look Filipino to a lot of Filipinos. People coming up speaking Tagalog to me like on the street. I'm like, okay, no, I'm Chinese. They don't believe me. We know you're from the Philippines. Don't lie to us. So I'm like, no, I'm Chinese. So it's pretty funny. But yeah, I've had that happen there, and just multiple. And I feel like this: if it's a role for a Chinese person, if you're Chinese, cool. If you're Japanese, that's fine. If you're Korean, that's fine. But it doesn't work. For instance, they did a movie on the riots, the LA riots, and they had a Korean shopkeeper, and it was definitely a Korean man, a Korean woman playing the mother and father. But they cast Dante Basco as the son. Dante
Yeah.
Basco played Rufio on Hook. He is
Yes.
Filipino, and he's usually, out and about. So he's pretty tan. So he's very dark complected. So you see Dante Bosco as a kid of these totally pale Korean shop owners in that movie. And I'm like, well, that's where you kind of, yeah, maybe you should cast someone who looks like these people's kid. I mean, he looked like he was adopted almost. It didn't look right. So that's the only time where I say that's not working. Other than that,
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean, if you're Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese, whatever, as long as you can act well, cast that person, cast the best actor for the role. Don't bring it down to, don't be so petty about, oh, he's the wrong Asian. I mean, that's just ridiculous. It really is.
Mhm.
So,
Now, you talked about like your journey and how you had to balance with all the expectation and your own expectations you had of yourself, and then also hearing those kind of comments from when you're out and about. How have
mm.
you been able to maintain throughout your career your own mental health to be able to deal with the highs and lows of your career?
Yeah, it has not been easy. That's the best way to put it. It has not been easy dealing with that because there's so many things that that you hear as an actor already when it comes to auditions. You can, it's crazy. You can do the best audition in the world, but if for some reason you resemble somebody in that director's past, like somebody that bullied him in high school, you're not going to get the role. It's so subjective like that. So I mean, having to deal with all the rejection, having to hear different comments left and right. Um, you really have to find something that will sort of dissipate the anxiety, the stress, the mind games, and find something that takes you to that Zen state, because you can really fall far into a deep hole if you're unable to balance yourself out. That's what it is. You're trying to find balance, in everything that you do, and every interaction that we have in public with somebody else. A lot of times, the things that go wrong or go sideways are because somebody had a bad day in terms of somebody died, a pet died, but we don't know that when we come across somebody who's acting like a Karen, as all everyone says, right? When that happens, and then oftentimes, like I said, for me, when I've had to deal with the rejection and different comments, I just try to find something that gets me out of it entirely. Whether it's music, music is a wonderful thing to have in your life because something about the frequency and just the tones and the beats. I think all human beings are supposed to be exposed to music and nature. Those are the two things that you have to always be around, I feel, to sort of balance yourself out. So a lot of times, take a hike, just go to the ocean, right? I love just to just go to just get into the ocean right there at the shore and just float for as long as I can, just to feel, just get in rhythm with nature. And that is the one balancing thing that you can have is take a hike, go to the ocean, just go outside, take your shoes off, walk in the grass, and balance your energy. Because yeah, every day that we go through as human beings, there's always something that happens in public, or some, whether you're in traffic, and everyone knows road rage, invented in America. It's all about just people not handling their stress and anxiety. So the best way for me has always been to just find some way to just check out for a little bit and just balance myself.
Very
That's
nice.
awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
And our one last question as we
Yes.
get towards the end.
Yes.
How did you feel to be voted one of People Magazine's 50 most beautiful people in the world in 1997?
I was shocked, to be honest. I was flattered when I heard about it. I just fired my fifth publicist, right? And then, like 2 weeks after I fired that publicist, I heard about it. So when they called me, I said, "Oh, did my publicist submit this for me? I submit for this?" And People Magazine people said, "No, actually, you were on stage at a convention in Denver, Colorado, and I remember this very clearly. Armin Shimmerman, who played Quark on DS9, was sitting off stage. I didn't know, but he watched. He was listening to my entire panel, my Q&A, and it was one of those magical Q&As where everything went right. Even the wrong things also flipped over in the right way. And after I walked off stage, I saw Armin. I go, "Armin, hey." And he goes, "Garrett, I never really watch or hang out, but I got here early for the start of your panel. I've been listening back here." And he said, "What a great job you did. How am I going to follow that, kid? How am I going to follow that?" When he said that, I was like, "Wow, that's so flattering." And also, someone in that audience saw that panel, that Q&A, and they had a connection to People Magazine. So that's how I got in. And at that point, and for many years, the only two people from Star Trek in that issue were Sir Patrick Stewart and myself, just us two. No one else from the Star Trek world ever made that list. But the year that I did it, 1997, if you flip the page over, It's Jerry O'Connell's wife who plays on Strange New Worlds, Rebecca Romaine.
Yeah.
Rebecca Romaine is on the other side of my. So it's me, and then she's the next one of the 15 most beautiful on the other side, the next page. So we share one page, but not on the same side. If that makes sense. So,
Yes.
but then she got in for whatever she was doing back then, and not for Trek. So it was a coup. But then the makeup artists, all the guys in the makeup department were making fun of me. So the next year, 1998, they'd say, "Hey, sorry, Garrett, you didn't make the 50th, 50 most beautiful. You're number 68 this year, so hopefully you'll make it back to 50 most beautiful next year." And each year they went by, they started giving me more crap about it. Like you're 100, you're 158 right now, or you're like 200. Season 7, like we hate to tell you this, you dropped to 1,492 this year,
Wow.
most beautiful. But eventually, if you work hard, you might make it back to 50 most beautiful.
Oh my God.
So
That is crazy. I do have one final question for you before we
yes,
go. And again, thank you for coming on. I
of
appreciate it
course.
so much.
And my
Um,
apologies, yeah, for the mix-up. Go ahead.
well, no, you're fine. You're fine. It
Okay.
like sometimes, like you said, the wrong things slip out and turn right, and that's what this episode ended up being.
Yes.
So this was perfect.
Perfect.
But you mentioned that the cast of Star Trek is a very niche group of people. It has expanded since your time on Voyager, but do you have relations with other cast members from the other seasons, rather it was the older seasons or even some of the newer seasons that are out now on Paramount Plus?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just like it's one big family. I mean, and here's how we interact with them. We all end up doing conventions at one point or another. There's a big Star Trek convention every year in Las Vegas in August, where almost 95% of all the actors you've ever seen on Trek appear at that one. So everybody. And so at these cons and other cons, we end up spending time with the actors from the other series, and they to us, like on Voyager, all those actors, they're my uncles, my aunts, my brothers, and then from the other show, those are our cousins. Those are so DS9, those are our DS9 cousin, the TNG cousins. And so that's how we see it. That's how they see it too. And so it's very it's just comforting to know that we share that bond, as being a Trek actor. And when we're at these different shows or appearances, we definitely try to get dinner together and have just have a little connection time. And it's been wonderful. And also with my Delta Flyers podcast, now that we're reviewing Deep Space Nine episodes, now I'm seeing and understanding the work that the Nah Visitor put into it, that Avery Brooks put into it, that Sirach Lofton was an amazing child actor, basically, in
Mm.
all our opinions. He did such a good job. And these are things that we didn't really know about. We were already friends. Every time I saw Sirach, I'd say, "Hey, what's up?" I'd give him a hug. But now it's even more, there's more, I don't know how to say it. There's more passion, or there's more purpose, because now I know his work. And now I see him in a different light, in a light that uh, I'm proud of. It's almost like, oh my God, my cousins did that role. They did it so well. I didn't even know that he did that. So it's a pride thing, and I'm happy and proud for my cousins from Deep Space Nine on the work they did. How's that?
That's perfect. Oh my God. I'm going to the Star Trek convention and I got to see this in action for myself.
You
Um,
do.
I got
It's
to get
always
out
in
there.
August. Yeah, you got to come out in August into Las Vegas and
But
just check it
Dragon
out.
Con, I'm sorry, Dragon Con. That's the only
Yes.
reason why I can never do things between August and September. It's Dragon Con. Takes so much time and money to just do that. But oh my God, this was amazing. This is my favorite episode ever right now.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for coming
you're
on.
welcome. Thank you,
Cannot wait to
guys.
see you again at Dragon Con. I will definitely try to check out some of the track panels among all
Yeah,
the other things I'll be doing that weekend. It would be so awesome if we can just run into you again. That would be great. Before you go,
check out
where
the
can
paget. Check out the pageant if you
I
can
yes, I'm
on
gonna put that
Sunday.
on my
Yeah,
list.
great.
Where can people find you on the internet if they want to find out more about you
Yeah,
and your career
yeah.
and just what you currently are doing with your digital
Sure.
content creation?
No problem. I have So the first person to adopt social media was Jerry Ryan. So she was Jerry L. Ryan on Twitter and everything else. So I said, oh, I'll do my middle initial too. So I'm at Garrett, Garrett. So two R's and two T's, and middle initial R for Richard, and then Wang. So at Garrett R Wang. The Wang is pronounced Wang, even though it's spelled Wang, it's pronounced Wang. And so that's my X account, the Twitter account. Facebook, Instagram is all Garrett.
Looks like he's frozen for a bit. But again, thank you, Garrett, for coming on. I just heard my editor do a table flip because we have been arguing over the pronunciation of his last name. And even though I found evidence of how it's pronounced, he still swears it's Wang. There's an A there. So thank you for proving him wrong.
So
that is hilarious. So he's in the other room just like
understanding
right now.
Dialects, yes.
I love it.
But thank you so much for coming on. Dana, James, thanks, where can people find you guys?
For myself, of course, Moana Nui podcast. For our network, you can find us on all social media platforms. As far as myself, you can find me under Danique Events to see my photography and everything else I do. And you can find me on all social media platforms under Danique Events. James.
Yeah, you can find me at Miles Simmons. Tag is right there on IG and Threads primarily. That's where all my social media shenanigans go down. You also find me on the Moana Nui podcast. We just did the sports series last week. We're going to be doing a What You Watching and a Mystery episode before the month is out. And then we'll be on break for Dragon Con. So
yes.
Perfect. Unlike you, I will not be on break. Well, on break for Dragon Con. My next show will be August 28th. That will be our Dragon Con pre-show. Definitely planning a lot of fun things for that one. Might even have a few surprise guests, depending on how it goes. And then obviously the week of Dragon Con. If you haven't, please subscribe to both our channels, Moana Nui Podcast Blerdography, so you don't miss out on any of Dragon Con 2026 coverage, because it is the 40th anniversary, and this is the con that we all love the most. So we're all planning to do so much stuff. But you have to wait till August 28th to find out what we'll be doing. But until then, I am Mark from Blerdography. This has been a star-studded episode of Blerdkast. You can find me everywhere on the internet at Blerdography. And don't forget, you can become a channel member for as low as $2 a month to help support the channel, get exclusive content. I'm uploading some interesting, fun videos tonight. So please don't forget to do that. And until then, I'll see you when I see you.
And Garrett, do you have any final words to say before we sign off?
No, just everyone have a wonderful day and live long and prosper. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you again, Garrett, for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you at Dragon Con.
See you at Dragon Con.
See you.
Thank you, everybody. And we'll be seeing you all soon.
Yeah. How you move it, how you wind it up. We can jump into it, we can line it up. We can stay slow with you, me. We can stay slow with you, me. Girl, be somebody tonight. Doing that dance, digging that dance. I know. Be somebody tonight. Be somebody tonight. Pull up on me. We've got so much to see. Maybe I can show you now. Lay your top with the top down.